Welcome to the deep dive, where your shortcut to, well, getting genuinely informed. And today we're diving deep into a really powerful human story. It spans decades of huge change in China. It's a life that starts with privilege, then hits ruin, war, incredible loss. But somehow it's anchored by this really unexpected philosophy about just existing. It might actually shift how you think about things. Our mission here is always to take, compelling sources and pull out the key insights. Today it's a literary text, the start of a famous novel. We're digging into human endurance, really.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah, the source for this deep dive is the Chinese novel To Live. It's by Yu Hua, and it's just incredibly powerful. It follows this man, Fugui,
Right.
from being this like rich, spoiled young guy, all the way to being an old peasant, having seen it all. And the author, Yu Hua, he actually talks about this in the preface, which is fascinating. He sort of says that, a real writer, they write for their inner self, and the understanding suffering, even the ugly stuff is key. He mentions being inspired by an American folk song, actually, about an old black slave who went through terrible hardship but stayed kind, no complaints. And that idea, that endurance, that kind of optimistic view despite everything that led him to Fugui. And it culminates in that famous line, man is alive for the sake of being alive itself, not for anything beyond it.
Wow. Okay. And it's quite a life story to unpack to get to that point. So, over the next bit, we'll follow Fugi's journey, his dramatic fall from grace, getting swept up in a civil war, the family tragedies. They just keep coming. And through it all, we're exploring how he gets to that idea of just living. We'll look at some really specific moments, often surprising ones, that built his resilience. So, where should we start? His early life, right? What was he like back then?
Yeah, the beginning is starkly different.
Yeah.
Fugi's youth is all about opulence, like serious wealth. He's the son of the Shu family. They own over 100 mills of land, which, to give you an idea, is maybe 20 football fields, a huge amount back then. But what's really striking is, despite all this, he hated the rules, the decorum. There are these stories, like him deliberately going to the toilet outdoors like a poor farmer instead of using the indoor one, or making his servant carry him on his back to school.
So real entitlement then. It's kind of a deliberate disrespect for his position.
Exactly. It wasn't just being young and rebellious. It was ingrained. It showed this deep disdain for the expectations that came with his wealth.
And that attitude, that rejection of, responsibility, it led him straight into trouble, didn't it? Gambling, brothels.
Oh, absolutely. He dove right in. Rampant gambling,
Yeah.
spending time at places like the Greenhouse, which was, a brothel. For him, the novel makes it clear it wasn't just casual fun. Gambling felt, and I think this is a quote, more exciting and intense than anything else. It was like this itch he just had to scratch. It completely consumed him, pulled him away from his family, his duties. It was an addiction, really.
And his wife, Jiazhen, she just endured this quietly.
Unwaveringly loyal. It's quite something. She suffered, mostly in silence, but she did try these subtle things to maybe reach him. There's this one scene, it's very memorable. She serves him 4 dishes for dinner.
Yeah.
And under the vegetables in each dish, there's a piece of pork hidden.
Ah, right. The implication being,
That, women might look different on the surface, like the different vegetable dishes, but underneath they're all the same, like the pork. He basically is saying his chasing after different women in the brothel was pointless. He claims he gets it, but he completely ignores the lesson.
it's tough. You wonder if her quiet endurance kind of enabled him, or if it's just this incredible, almost baffling strength.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I tend to see it less as enabling and more as a profound, almost unimaginable kind of strength, or maybe duty. It's like she's trying to hold the family together, maintain some connection, even while he's actively tearing it apart. It's a fundamental drive, maybe.
And his behavior wasn't just hurting her, it was destroying his father, too. His dad had started with 200 mu, lost half himself, and now Fugiu was blowing through the rest. There's that moment Fugiu tells his father, "You can't mess with me, old man." Just brutal defiance.
Yeah, and the father couldn't take it. The burden, the shame, it broke him. He eventually dies, essentially from shock and anger. The novel says he collapses off the latrine at the village entrance. A really tragic, almost symbolic end.
Wow. What a tragic end. And that wasn't even the end of Fugi's recklessness, was it?
No, not at all. In fact, the final blow, the one that wiped them out completely, was still to come. It happened in this ultimate gambling session with a guy named Longer. Fugia lost absolutely everything.
And wasn't there cheating involved? It wasn't just bad luck.
Exactly. Longer was cheating. The book mentions mercury-weighted dice, switching cards from his sleeves. It was deliberate, calculated ruin for Fugi.
The aftermath sounds just devastating. Fugi walking home in a daze, his mother's shock.
Heartbreaking. And Johnson's reaction. Even after he'd been physically abusive, dragged her out of the brothel while she was pregnant, she still stood by him. It's almost beyond loyalty. It feels like resilience born from hitting rock bottom.
And then they were separated for a while.
Yeah, Jiazin's family took her back. She gave birth to their son, Yasking, while she was away. And there's this incredibly painful detail later. Their young daughter, Fengxia, asks Fugimi, "Why do they say I'm not a young lady anymore?" It just hits you how completely their world, their status, their identity was shattered. Overnight, practically.
So, privilege gone, what happens next? He has to work, right?
Right. Total transformation from the rich young master to a tenant farmer. And the cruel irony, he's farming his own former land, which now belongs to Long Yu, the guy who cheated him.
Yeah.
He talks about the brutal physical labor, the exhaustion. His mother, old as she is, tries to help him in the fields.
So this is where he starts learning about hardship, about just surviving.
Absolutely. This is the stripping away of everything else. Status, comfort, gone. There's also a symbolic moment when Changin, who used to be their servant, comes back, but now he's a beggar. It highlights how poverty is this shared fate, so hard to escape. For Fugi, it's this visceral lesson. Life, for most people, is about basic survival. It's the first real step away from living for pleasure.
But then, a bit of hope. Jiazin comes back.
Yes, a really emotional reunion. She walks, 10 plus li, so 5 or 6 kilometers, with baby Yunking on her back, wearing this striking water-red kipao. It's such a vivid image of her spirit. So the family's back together, even in poverty. But it's bittersweet.
Why bittersweet?
They discovered that their daughter, Fengxia, became mute. She'd had a high fever while Fugi was gone, and it took her voice. It's just another blow. Even in moments of joy, life keeps throwing these harsh realities at them.
And just when you think things can't get worse, the war.
Exactly. He thinks being a tenant farmer is the bottom. But nope. Fate intervenes again. He goes into town trying to find a doctor for a sick mother, gets into a minor scuffle with some official servant, and bam, he's just grabbed, kicked, and forced into the nationalist army, made to pull artillery. Just like that. Arbitrary, brutal.
Right. And he meets other soldiers there, people who become important later.
Yeah, this is where he meets Old Quan, and crucially, Chun Sheng, remember that name? He later becomes the county head. But their time in the war is depicted as just awful, futile, horrific. Old Quan keeps trying to desert, keeps getting caught. They're starving, scavenging for anything, even rubber shoes to try and eat. Death is everywhere.
What does that experience do to Fugi? What does he learn about people, about life, in that extreme situation?
It really strips everything bare, doesn't it? War forces you down to the absolute basics. Hunger, fear, death. He sees the worst, people at their most desperate, but also moments of, unexpected connection, camaraderie. It reinforces that core instinct.
Yes.
Just survive. Forget grand ideals. Just get through the next minute. It's another brutal lesson in living for the sake of living.
And then the tide turns. The Liberation Army captures them.
Yes, they're besieged and captured by the PLA, the communist forces. And here's a compelling moment.
Yeah.
They're given a choice. Join the PLA or get travel money to go home.
And Fugi chooses home.
Overwhelmingly. After everything, the gambling, the loss, the war, all he wants is his family. Ideology, politics, none of it matters anymore. His priority is crystal clear. It's about those basic human bonds. That's his truth now.
So he finally makes it home, but it's not exactly a happy homecoming, is it?
No, it's devastating. Again, he gets back, excited, probably exhausted, but hopeful, only to find out his mother died while he was away, and that Fengxia, his daughter, lost her voice from that fever. Just crushing news after surviving the war.
And then comes land reform. How does that impact them?
Well, it's a huge shift across China. And kind of paradoxically, Fugi's family actually gets some land back, 5 mu of their original property.
Yeah.
But the really pivotal thing here is what happens to Longer.
The man who took everything from it.
Right. He gets labeled a tyrant landlord, Ebadizu, by the new communist government. It was part of the whole radical land redistribution policy. And Longer is executed. Fuzi watches it happen, and the book says he has mixed feelings. He ends up thinking something like, my ancestors' graves must have been correctly placed, like it was fate or just sheer luck that he survived when Longer, the one who ruined him, didn't. The story just reports this, doesn't really judge it, shows the complexity, the rough justice of those times.
Okay, so they have a little land, but then things change again with the People's Commune in '58.
Oh yeah, another massive upheaval. Collectivization. Land is pooled, everyone works together, even cooking pots. They get collected and smashed, supposedly to make steel and backyard furnaces. Utterly chaotic. They set up communal dining halls with these big promises like fish and meat till you burst.
But the reality was different.
Very different. That initial abundance, if it ever really existed, didn't last. It quickly became about hardship, scarcity, poor nutrition again. But even in this, you see these small acts of resilience. Like Yonking, their son. He's so to give up their family's 2 sheep to the commune, but he keeps sneaking food to them every day. This quiet devotion, this connection to something familiar amidst all the chaos.
And the steel making, that sounds bizarre.
It was. They talk about trying to make steel in basically a gasoline drum. And it gets so desperate for fuel, they actually burn down a neighbor's house, old son's house.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable, the things that happened during the Great Leap Forward. And there's this darkly funny moment where Yonking, just a kid, suggests adding water to the drum so the bottom won't burn out, like he's the voice of reason.
Meanwhile, Jiazin's health is failing.
Yeah, it's declining fast. The book calls it soft bone disease, which is likely, severe malnutrition, maybe osteoporosis from the years of hard labor and poor food. But her spirit, it's incredible. She stays positive somehow. Her endurance is just constant.
And there's that story about the rice.
Yeah, that's so poignant. Things are desperate. Jiazin goes to the city to her father and manages to get some rice. She has to hide it in her clothes to smuggle it back home. And the family's reaction, pure, desperate joy at having actual rice porridge. They have to eat it secretly, worried about neighbors, the greedy commune captain. It just shows the absolute basics they were fighting for, just a little food.
Okay, and this leads us to a really tough part of the story, Yoking's death.
Yeah, this is gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Youth King, their son, he's in school. The wife of the county head is having a difficult childbirth, needs blood. They take blood from the school children, and they take too much from Yoking. He dies from excessive blood donation.
Just negligence, callousness.
Complete callousness from the hospital staff described in the novel. Fugi is just consumed by grief and rage. He wants to kill the doctor, kill the county head. He goes on this rampage. It's just loss after loss after loss. And you see Fugi being stripped down even further. Wealth, status, children. Happiness seems impossible. All that's left is just being. Breathing, existing.
And then the terrible twist. The identity of the county head.
Yeah. Amidst all this grief and fury, Fugi realizes the county head.
Yeah.
It's Chun Sheng, his old comrade from the war.
Oh, wow.
Their reunion is just devastating. Tears, shock. And Fugi, in the end, makes this awful decision. He buries Yukin secretly to shield Jiazin from the immediate horror of it all. It's an act of love, maybe, but also just unbearable endurance.
The hardships just don't stop. What about Fengxia? Finding her a husband must have been hard.
Very hard. Being deaf and mute in that society is a huge barrier. But they do find someone, a man named Wan Erxi. He's a porter, kind-hearted, has a physical disability himself, a crooked head. But he's incredibly good to Fengxia and the family. Fixes their roof, paints their walls, makes Jiazin a little table. Just genuine kindness, which feels so rare at this point.
And he throws a big wedding for her.
He does. Despite being in debt himself, he arranges this wedding that's more impressive than any other wedding in the village.
Yeah.
It's this brief moment of real joy, of pride for Fugi and Jiazin, seeing their daughter married well despite everything. The image of Fengxia leaving, looking back tearfully at her parents. It's very touching, especially knowing what's coming.
Erxi sounds like a genuinely good man.
He really does. The book highlights his devotion.
What?
Little things, like during Fengxia's pregnancy, he let mosquitoes bite him so they wouldn't bite her. Just selfless acts of love.
Tragedy strikes again, doesn't it?
Yes, relentlessly. Fengxia, she dies in childbirth.
Yeah.
Hemorrhage, it's the same way Yangking died, essentially due to medical issues surrounding birth. It's an unbearable, cruel irony. Fugi is left with another grandchild, Kugan, but he's lost his daughter. The cycle just keeps repeating.
How does Jiazin cope with this?
She declines very quickly after Fengxia's death. It's like the final blow her body and spirit can take. But she faces the end with this quiet dignity. She has these practical last wishes. Don't bury me in a sack. Make sure I'm clean. Use a clean cloth. She tells Fugi to look after Fengxia and Yoking, almost as if they're still there. And her last words, something like, I don't want to die, I want to see you all every day. It's that fundamental desire again, just to be.
Yeah.
To exist with the ones you love.
And even then, the world outside keeps intruding. The Cultural Revolution reaches the village.
Yeah, the chaos spreads everywhere, even their small village. Red Guards come, accuse the village captain, the same one who is greedy about the rice of being a capitalist roader. They take him away. It shows how pervasive the fear and upheaval were.
And this brings Chun Sheng back into the picture.
Yes. Fugi sees Chun Sheng, the county head, his old comrade, being publicly humiliated, paraded, beaten by red guards, another reversal of fortune. Then Chun Sheng visits Fugi secretly. He's broken. He tells Fugi he wants to die.
But Jia says something powerful to him.
She does. Even weak and dying, she finds the strength. She tells him, Chun Sheng, you must live. You still owe us a life. Repay us with your own life. It's harsh, but it's profound. It's not about revenge, exactly. It's about the value of life itself, even a life filled with guilt or debt.
Yeah.
You have to live it. It's the ultimate statement of that live for the sake of living idea.
But Chun Sheng can't do it.
No, he can't endure. Tragically, he commits suicide, hangs himself. It's a stark reminder that this philosophy of endurance, it's not easy. Not everyone can bear the weight.
So after all this, Jiazhen gone, Feng Xie gone, Yu King gone, Chun Sheng gone, Fugi is left alone.
Almost alone. He has his grandson, Kugan, for a time, though tragically Kugan also dies later from choking on beans. But eventually, yes, he's left with just his ox, an old ox he works the fields with. And in this really surprising symbolic detail, we learn the ox's name.
What is it?
It's also named Fugi.
Wow, he named the ox after himself.
Or perhaps it signifies something deeper, this shared name. It emphasizes the connection Fugi feels. Him and the ox, just two old creatures, enduring working the land. It's a symbol of his own continued existence. Simple labor, simple perseverance.
So that brings us right back to the core idea, doesn't it?
Exactly. After everything, all the suffering, the loss. This is the truth he arrives at, forged in fire. Man is alive for the sake of being alive itself, not for anything else. No grand purpose needed, no external validation, just the act of living, of enduring. That becomes his solace. He just lives, no complaints. There's kind of nobility in that simple endurance.
It's an incredible journey. So much loss, so much pain, but he just keeps going. He embodies living.
It's a powerful story, yeah. Gives you a full sweep, a kind of audio overview of a life that really pushes the boundaries of what a person can endure.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it? What does it mean to live? Not for achievements or happiness or meaning in the way we usually think of it, but just for the act itself, the existence. It kind of challenges our modern drive to find purpose in everything. Yeah. So the final thought for you, listening. In a world where we're always searching for meaning, for purpose beyond just being here, what can we take from Fugi's story, from his relentless, quiet endurance? What does that teach us about the strength, maybe even the nobility of simply being alive, even when everything else is stripped away? What does living for its own sake look like, really, in your own life? Something to think about.